welcome to another Cliffhanger show. We have another regeneration focus after a crash landing. The Cybermen ignore Larry Grayson and open the tomb door. Mccoy goes all dark with Fenric and Merlin. Welcome to another of our Cliffhanger shows. Semi-regular series are granted. We fit them in when we can, seasonally, so to speak. And it's when people pick their favourite cliffhangers and nail biters from the series, classic or NUwho. Each show's different. Each show is curated for the tastes, experiences and memories of the guest panellist. Everyone has a reason for reminiscing, experiencing and loving those cliffhanger moments. And today we have, he's a follower on our channel. He's on many channels. You all know him as FARSIGHT, but today he's going to be Colin. Hiya, Colin.
How you doing, Brandon?
Good to see you at
I'm
last.
here at last. I'm here at last.
You've supported the channel really well. Thank you for that. And this is a lovely, all right, hopefully it feels like a gift back because we can enjoy your favourite cliffhangers.
Kept me seeing this last year, so, it's great. Nice to be here.
Well, that's cool. So, well, I always start the same way, to be fair. So there's his selection. You can see the start. You can see where Colin's going to go today on this one. But we'll get into the reads of all of these. But the first thing I always ask everybody, Colin, is to you as a Doctor Who fan, coming from your, setup when you started, what do you think makes a really good, brilliant Doctor Who cliffhanger?
Lots of jeopardy. Lots of jeopardy. Put the Doctor in a situation, a life-threatening situation that you wonder how he's going to get out of, or like some of my cliffhangers, the Caves of Androzani one, he's busting a gut to get there and he doesn't care what happens to himself. He just wants to get there to save his companion, and that's, to me, that's the Doctor. He'll do anything, and no matter what the odds, all that kind of stuff. But I really like something that's really scary, atmospheric, and the Doctor is in, or the companions are in some sort of peril, and you wonder how he's going to get out of it. It just has to be scary and atmospheric for me, and I'm a happy camper.
It's funny, isn't it? Because when you say jeopardy, I get it. Most Doctor Who fans say it's that level of jeopardy, but there's a level of jeopardy when it gets daft. And this is when I get funny about NUwho, when I'm thinking I can see 1 million Daleks.
Yeah.
I can see thousands of John Sims all over the world.
Yeah.
That kind of jeopardy just doesn't have any reality to me.
No. It's like somebody once said about whenever you're acting in Doctor Who, you have to play it straight to make it believable. And whenever you have 1 million Daleks floating about or something like that, it doesn't do a lot for me either. It doesn't really. You don't have to be big on a massive scale for it to be a great cliffhanger. You really don't. Like some of the ones I'm talking about are very small and personal, and they work, The other, I didn't mind Matt Smith's era. I like Matt Smith. I like a lot of his stories. And I didn't really mind the season finales, most of them. But I have to admit, I cringed every time RTD had a season finale. I never enjoyed any of them. And I hated that with all the Daleks and the Cybermen and all that stuff. Just not my idea of Doctor Who.
So we're going to go through your choices of your 3 favourites and obviously your duds. But in the meantime, just before we do start on those, Colin,
you're not going to torture me with the meta crisis, are you?
No, don't. I'm just thinking, when you're making this selection, were there any other, the ones that you didn't make the final 3? Are there a couple of others you can tease us with that you were nearly going to pick?
There were so many. There were so many, to be honest. I could have taken, now, this might not be your favourite, but Remembrance of the Daleks. The Dalek going up the cellar stairs. I love it. Just because it's a Dalek and he's floating, and the people used to laugh, those
Yeah.
things, and all. But it was quite cool, and it was scary, I thought at the time. But I'm trying to think. There's so many other ones. Like, I could pick ones from Pyramids of Mars. I tend to. I think I'm probably not your typical Doctor Who fan in that most of my favorite stories are things like Pyramids and uh, like Fenric or Ghostlight, even like it. And I know a lot of people don't. I'm guessing you don't.
It's just the first time I watched it, Colin, I thought, what is going on?
So did I, but in fairness, I was, what age was I? 14. So, but the novel, the book was good and it helped you out a bit. But whenever you sat and thought about it, it was okay. I worked it out. But no, I like those sorts of stories, a bit
Yeah.
out there.
Well, shall we have a look at his first one?
Fire
The first
away.
one, yeah, the first one, you've mentioned Ghostlight, so we're not far away. So we're going to go back to 1989. Funny enough, Colin, you're saying you're around 14. I
Mhm.
was 21 and I was backpacking around Australia.
Right.
And the only way I got to see this last series of McCoy was
Mhm.
a pirate copy was sent to Australia,
Oh, very
and
good.
it was heavily pixelated.
All
So
right.
so Ghostlight, Curse of Fenric, Battlefield, all of those looked pretty kind of what's going what?
Yes, yes. Now, I will say one thing about season 26. The set on in Ghostlight the House, Gabriel Chase, that was brilliant. I don't
Yeah,
think it's ever been done better, to be honest. It looked totally convincing. They did. It had its faults, season 26. I'm not going to deny that, but they were really trying, and the show went out, I think, on a bang, that series, to be honest.
yeah,
You know, it certainly went out better than the dump squib this year, but
yeah. If you compare Survival to how we finished this year with the Reality War, no.
no,
Um,
no.
and and we all know, I mean, this is it. I mean, comparing Survival to the Reality War in another way, which is the maturity and the confidence of
Mm,
program makers just to make Ace and the Doctor just walk away,
yeah,
kind of
instead
fade to black, kind of.
instead of the daftest ending imaginable.
Yeah, instead of
Yeah,
doing silly clickbait, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a favourite time of mine. That I have to admit, even though I knew the show was probably not coming back for a while.
Curse of Fenric Part 3. Here we go.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
Colin's in his element here, as he said with this last season. So
yeah.
we'll watch it first and then we'll find out why he picked it.
What are you doing here?
You have to,
Faster than the second hand on a
you
watch.
have to move faster than that if you want to keep up with me. We're not even moving yet. Hardly cruising speed. I don't exist anymore.
What can you see?
Undercurrents. Bringing things to the surface. I can't stay.
You promised.
I'm here.
You don't believe.
Evil needs a body. He hasn't found one yet.
It's not true. You don't believe it.
I believe in good. No! 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 What's he doing?
Don't touch him! Don't touch anything!
The time is now. The chains of Fenric are shattered. The gods have lost the final battle.
We play the contest again. Time.
Yeah, you can see me smiling.
Oh, go on then. Tell us why.
I love that bit at the end. I love whenever it's going to be Judson. You know it's going to be him that's Fenric. But just everything's perfect about that scene. The atmosphere. I think the music is great as well. It just feels to me apocalyptic. They have the weather was bad. It's dark, and then you have Judson stand up, with those green eyes.
Yeah.
It's quite eerie. It really is eerie. And another thing, like unlike Colin Baker's era, this was a bad guy who was on the level of Sutek, something like that. And in truth, it was Doctor Who's attempt at a ghost story almost, because he was an evil spirit, Fenric, allegedly. And I just thought, this is something, it's new, and it's never been done before, really. You could say Image of the Fendal was a ghost story, sort of, but it was just, the Doctor was going into territory that he had hardly ever been before, and I liked it. And I thought it was a great reinvention for the show at that time. Like I've said before, my friends who weren't fans of the show were talking about it at school. And that was the first time they were talking about it without laughing, you know? So, and I think the acting is great in it as well. Like there's, whatever Nurse Crane, she wants to go down and lift up Judson, and that Sylvester, you can barely hear him. He just says he's dead, you know.
Yeah.
I think the acting is great, and Sylvester, that moment when you can see the realization, and he turns around, and Fenric's there. It's just that's that is creepy. It is really, really creepy. And at the time it was on, where I live now, at that time of the year, where I live, it can be quite foggy, misty. Um, at that time of year, it's dark. When I think was it 7 p.m. It was going out at then, I think.
I don't know. I was on the other side of the
Yeah,
world. You see. I
it was
don't know.
after 7 anyway. And, you know, it was just the perfect time to be watching this creepy
Yeah.
story like that. Um, it was for the first time, I think, in a good number of years that I'd actually felt creeped out by Doctor Who. Like, to me, the Colin Baker era, although I like Colin Baker, the stories were, the villains weren't great either. So, this, to me, this was getting back to proper, like, Hinchcliffe Who. That is my favorite. That is my favorite era, and to me, this was it. Starting to go back there, and also, Fenric was a great villain, but I loved the Hemovores.
Yeah.
I thought they looked great, especially the ancient Hemovore. I mean,
Yes.
that for the time, that was very, very well done. Um, and the actual televised version of the show is good. Now that's creepy. That is creepy. Those eyes. Yeah, but the DVD, whenever they released the extended version, I know at that time, that era, there was a lot of cuts to the scripts, and to the film. What eventually made it to screen. Um, the Curse of Fenric, the extended edition, is better.
Right.
It fills out a lot of the bits that it could have done with adding in. So no, in my opinion, that's one of the scariest, creepiest finales or cliffhangers ever. I mean, at the beginning of the episode 4, he just does that thing and he vanishes, but still, it was just perfect. Perfect Doctor Who to me. It needs to be creepy, it needs to be dark, and you need a believable villain.
I, 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 I do start to wonder, Colin, when I look at this now, and I'll play it again with the soundtrack as well, so we can cut a few bits out. But I don't know, maybe because I'm a bit older, the music, there's a bit of creepy music in it, but like when you compare to the Hinchcliffe era, I keep thinking,
Yeah.
oh, the music in this era, I think sometimes fought against
Yeah.
what you were
Well,
seeing.
I will admit that the synthesizer music and stuff like that is a bit. It's not great at times, but there is something that hits a nerve for me.
What are you doing here?
You have to,
Faster than the second hand on a
you
watch.
have to move faster than that if you want to keep up with me.
Was this the first time in Doctor Who where really the companion used? Oh no, it's not the first time, but this seemed to be a kind of a maturity, and I think this is what RTD in 2005 wanted to pick up on, didn't
Yeah.
he? He wanted this kind of savvy Rose Tyler based on Ace. I think. I was trying to work out this in this story, because she's a teenager. Me and a few of the other panelists have an issue about the Doctor taking her back in Ghostlight to something that scares her, something that freaks her out, like the clowns in the Greatest Show in the Galaxy. The Doctor's, I wasn't quite sure whether that was cruel or kind. In this one, it's intriguing because it's obviously got the undertones. You can see when she dives in the water at the end.
Yes.
There's all about her coming to adulthood and all that stuff.
I think now some of it was a wee bit clunky. I thought the dialogue, those scenes like where she's chatting up the sergeant here, or is he a sergeant? I think he is. But anyway, I thought it was a bit awkward. But it was the first time you had a companion that they delved into the character like that. And I would say that's where he got the idea for Rose from. I have to admit, I prefer Sophie or Ace. I think I just like the character better. And I liked it because it's the first time that she was that you were going into the character's background and her history, and it was. I know you're saying that you thought it was a bit cruel the way Sylvester or the Seventh Doctor treated her, but he knew she was still under or caught up in Fenric's web, and he couldn't tell her obviously, but he had to go back and sort all this out. All the stories, like you could say, Greatest Show in the Galaxy, and Ghostlight, that she'd had a troubled past, let's put it that way, and I suppose it was exposure therapy in a way as well. But also the Doctor knew, I suppose there's a certain amount of curiosity there with him as well as to what had happened in Gabriel Chase. He knew that Ace, there was something there that she had sensed something that had happened a long time ago. And the Doctor, being the Doctor, wanted to investigate it. Now there is, whenever we come to Tomb of the Cybermen, I have something to pull you up on.
Okay, Doc. Right. Well, we'll do that. We'll move on.
I think you probably can guess anyway, but
I love the underwater stuff in Curse of Fame. Is fab.
The bit where the Russian soldier,
Yeah.
he's tethered to the longboat and he just opens his eyes, and that's brilliant.
And the music is good in all that.
Bringing things to the surface.
Yes, I liked it. I really did. To me, it was getting back to what Doctor Who should be. It was getting its mojo back. That's what I would, the way I would put it. And it was a terrible shame that I knew it was coming to an end. With Survival, the very next story. But back then, I always believed it would be back.
Gosh, I don't know what we thought. We were all moaning in Australia because obviously it was just trying to play catch up. We were impressed with the last series, so
I mean, when you see what they were doing back then, there's something. Now you're maybe not a fan of Ghostlight. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a very complicated, involved story, but it's the kind of stuff that Doctor Who was. It's just very Doctor Who to me.
Yeah, what I would say about season 26 is it's a shame they only had so many episodes because season 26's ambition really needed the amount of time that season 7 got.
Yes, yes, it did. It needed a lot more episodes, and to be honest, it was ambitious beyond its budget as well. Quite, but I think they were miracles. Actually, the last two or season 25 and 26. I think the show punched above its weight in terms of the number of episodes and the amount of money they were getting. I mean, I remember reading season 26. The entire season had the same budget as one episode of Red Dwarf.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know that I can never argue about the execution. And as Doctor Who fans, we tend not to. What I'll do is I'll play it through now so you
Okay.
can get one more vibe of it.
I can't
Okay.
stay.
What are you doing here?
You have to,
Faster than the second hand on a
you
watch.
have to move faster than that if you want to keep up with me. We're not even moving yet. Hardly cruising speed. I don't exist anymore.
What can you see?
Undercurrents. Bringing things to the surface. I can't stay.
You promised.
I'm here.
You don't believe. Fenric,
Evil needs a body. He hasn't found one yet.
it's not true. You don't believe it.
I believe in good. No! 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 What's he doing?
Don't touch him! Don't touch anything!
The time is now. The chains of Fenric are shattered. The gods have lost the final battle.
We play the contest again. Time Lord. You left me in the shadow dimensions. Trapped for 17th century. I found the body again.
He really did look like it was something inhabiting his body there, didn't he?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. I mean, he did a good job. I've heard people say things like about Nicholas Parsons and whatever. I think Nicholas Parsons was great.
Yeah. And I suppose we've all done it for a while. You hear Ken Dodd, you hear various people, and you go, "Oh, what we doing with Doctor Who?" But
Yeah.
actually, we should only judge it afterwards. Look at Billie Piper. I remember thinking, Billie Piper.
star.
Actually, she was good.
Yeah, she was. She can act. She definitely can.
Yeah.
I think it was back then. He got a lot. John Nathan Turner got a lot of stick for these celebrity guest appearances, but people were forgetting that Nicholas Parsons had a long career before that, and the man could act. He definitely could. But that he's just like there's a spirit inhabiting his body. He's not there anymore. Just brilliant.
That was one of the worst programs I've ever seen. I need to cleanse my palate and watch the Sense Sphere. That Brendan really knows his stuff.
Caves of Androzani, Part 3. Now, this one is probably one of the most requested. So here we go. Let's watch.
What? You jerk.
She's gone. She must have been stronger than I thought.
You know the army is planning to attack, but your androids won't fire back because the soldiers...
Are you going to open this door or not?
Stutzy, have you had a good rest? Sorry, it seems to be locked.
Come on, go get that cunning.
We'll be touching down in a couple of minutes, or more likely crashing down, you see. I'm a bit out of practice. I'd find something firm to hang on to.
No, my slip! Hands in the air over here! I'll kill you if you don't!
Not a very persuasive argument, actually.
I'll give you to a count of 3!
Unless, of course, I can find the
A tour de force of acting by Peter Davison for a start. You know, he is a brilliant actor, the guy. And I know people would say that his Doctor was a bit bland, maybe, but I love some of the dialogue he gets in that. You know, like he's calling Stotsy, and very flippant. And then the next thing he's saying, "Well, I don't care what you do. I'm going ahead because I owe it to Perry." That is, I think he's a vastly underrated Doctor. He's a quietly eccentric Doctor, but they don't all have to be, like Colin Baker or Tom. He's most eccentric, and it just showed you the Doctor will do anything to save his friends, and he didn't care. He didn't care about what was going on. He didn't care about any of the other people because, well, they were all horrible basically anyway. But he was prepared to. It didn't matter what happened to him as long as he got Perry back to the TARDIS safe and well, with the bat's milk.
Yes, good old Professor Jackage knew
Yeah,
his
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. But I mean, it was how often have you seen a Doctor who's so battered and bruised looking and bloodied? You know, the people say about David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, his finale. But what did he do? He didn't really do. All he thought, he went, I mean, okay, he sucked up a lot of like radiation, whatever. This man here was through the ringer the entire story. He was just getting progressively worse.
But this is the problem, I think, with when we do the comparison, that the David Tennant one, his father-in-law, his son-in-law, sorry, he then, it was ruined by going on that lap of honor.
Yes,
if he's dying, the John Pertwee Doctor, look at him. He was riddled with the radiation from the cave.
Yes,
and he was gaunt. He was grey.
Yeah.
And he'd been lost in the ether, hadn't he? Then he finally found his way back and collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Davison, Fifth Doctor, and he looks ravaged. His acting in those scenes there, the way he's delivering the lines, he sounds a bit, and not the panty stuff. He sounds knackered.
Yeah,
he sounds like I truly don't give a damn. It's cleverly done, actually.
Yes, yeah. I mean, to me, that's you've never seen a Doctor, I don't think, quite as haggard. You know, I mean, he has the entire story. He's been put through the mill. Whenever the beginning of episode 4, even. I mean, look what he has to go through there when he escapes. He's a mess. He's an absolute mess. He actually thinks, well, the game's up at one point. And he's saved by the mud burst. Peter Davison's Doctor was the sort of a guy, he always hoped for the universe was better than it actually was, and always seemed a bit disappointed the way about it. You know, the way things. He always hoped for the best, but the universe was a horrible place, basically. But no matter what, he was always willing to be the hero. He didn't want to be a hero, but whenever he had to be, he was.
And this was I mean, I can't knock Caves of Androzani in any shape or form.
Magma Beast.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe the Magma Beast, but the vibe, the atmosphere, it was funereal. Episode 1 was good enough because that made you think he was going to die in episode 1.
Yeah.
It was brutal. It was, and it was the gang, and it was the mafia, and it was drug running, and politics, and wow, this was singing.
Kind of set the scene for the way the following season with Colin Baker. grim and dark. Quite a lot of this. I mean, Revelation of the Daleks. I like the story, but it's depressing. I find it is anyway, you know. But no, that Caves of Androzani, it was really unlike anything that they'd ever done before, because the Doctor was on the periphery of everything.
Yeah.
He wasn't involved in it. He just wanted to get the hell out of Dodge, you know. And to me, it was. I remember at the time it was a bit jarring. I was thinking to myself, the Doctor's not really, you know, the story, you know, him and the story are not really. He's not really involved in it, but still, it was gripping. It was really gripping, and I think that's the best performance he gave as the Doctor.
Well, it was the most challenged he was. This is what I mean. I mean, some people grieve over sometimes the regeneration story doesn't deliver for the actor. Peter Davison got the best script with a damn good director for his last story.
And the best regeneration.
Are you one of those? I mean, as I play it back now, I never saw this and I never thought this, Colin, but now I hear it all the time. I can't unsee it. People tell me that this sequence here, which is the same effect, of course.
Yes.
People say, well, actually, the Fifth Doctor has started to regenerate now.
No, that's just that's just they used the same effect, but no, he's not regenerating there. Definitely not. That's just. They just basically reused the same, or they used the same effect for the shuttle or the spacecraft. On the re-entry. That's all it is. But no, I would never ever have thought that at that time or ever since. You know, I just loved the way. I mean, he even had to cut his wrists on like that. I don't know whether that's a plasma conduit or something like that. But I mean, he did everything he could. You know, he was pushed to the limits, and eventually he came through. And I think his regeneration scene actually it's quite an emotional one as well, because Adric pops up. You can tell, even going back then, that he regrets what happened to Adric. You know, just the whole thing. The whole thing was a masterpiece. I mean, but then it was Robert Holmes, so you know. And he knew how to write for the Doctor, for the Fifth Doctor.
He certainly did, but he upped his game because it's very adult. I'll play it again now. I mean, and I'll say, you know, Sharaz Jek and his relationship with Perry for one.
And even I was 9 at the time, but I still picked up on that back then.
I know. I obviously, you know, I've got about 6 or 7 years on you, but I was like, whoa, this is a bit kind of this is a bit.
It's unlike. It's not something you've seen very often, and not in classic Who anyway. And he was a creep, wasn't he? I mean, he really was.
He was. Here we go. But then you started to feel sympathy for him because he was actually nice to her.
So he was. I mean, there's that scene where do you think I'm mad? He says to her. And I mean, Nicola Bryant's brilliant in it as well. That's really good acting. I mean, you can believe she's terrified.
Yeah.
You know, but it's interesting. They put probably the nicest, gentlest of all the Doctors. They put him into a story with all the most horrible people you could possibly imagine. You know, it worked.
It did work. It did work. Here we go.
What? You jerk.
She's gone. She must have been stronger than I thought.
You know the army is planning to attack, but your androids won't fire back because the soldiers...
That's a creepy scene there.
Doctor! I know what he's doing in there! Are you going to open this door or not?
Stutzy, have you had a good rest?
Got it!
I mean, it just, sarcasm. telling us he couldn't give a damn because he knows. We've seen the Fourth Doctor. We've seen other Doctors where they try and get a rise out of the person to make them snap. But this is different. He's just whatever.
Yeah, I don't give a toss. I don't give a toss. You never ever seen a Doctor like that before, I don't think. And well, I suppose probably he was the perfect age for that sort of a there was quite a bit of action in it, and his Doctor does get quite roughed up. So no, tension. There's a lot of tension in that scene. I remember at the time actually thinking, this thing's going to crash. How's he going to get out?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was nothing in his acting or script that is saying, I've got a clever way out of here.
No.
I mean, and he's buckling himself in. He looks as though, oh my God.
It's last ditch, sort of, yeah. It's so good that particular, the final shot of his face, I think, was used on the cover of the VHS release. I think where he's looking, he's absolutely he looked haggard. I mean, they picked that image, and I think that just sums it up perfectly. The Doctor really was close to losing, basically.
I'll just finish this off now. I'll show it off, right?
Crashing down, you see? I'm a bit out of practice. I'd find something firm to hang on to.
Now I slip hands in the air over here. Kill you if you don't.
Not a very persuasive argument, actually, Scott.
Give me to a count of three.
Unless, of course, I can find the antidote. I owe it to my friend to try because I got her into this. You see, I'm not going to let you stop me now.
I mean, you mentioned the all action. I mean, I'm a funny one with Doctors. You don't need all the action, but in this one, it stood out a mile, and it was deserved, and it was right because he was fighting for every breath.
Yeah,
and a Doctor fugitive, a Doctor on the run, literally, and the machine guns. That seemed to be new with Doctor Who. It felt like it anyway. And then on top of that, you had that lovely drum beat all the time. I thought the music in this one really did make it feel like
it was an oppressive setting as well. The caves, and I thought the caves were well done.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe I'm easily pleased. I don't know. But it's one of those shows where everything just is perfection.
Sorry.
You're right. It's one of those shows where everything is just perfect. Funnily enough, written by Robert Holmes.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I mean. We need tried and tested to a degree Doctor Who writers. Yes, you blood people in, but I don't think we've done it the right way now. Now, there's always a dud. We've had Dragonfire, we've had various ones, and it seems like here comes a Mccoy, so I'll play it first, and I dare say you'll tell us why it didn't. Why it didn't hit the mark.
Tossed it over my shoulder.
Good idea.
It looks like a bloke.
Flying through the air.
And then through a wall.
You two stay here.
Be serious. What's going on?
Doctor?
Yes.
Can't see anything.
Oh, it's a human.
But in my reckoning, he is Merlin. Do you not ride the ship of time? Does it not
fresh in my mind? Believe me. Well, where do I start? First of all, now I'm not saying anything about Sophie, but that bit, boom. she's trying her best, but it's not really very. It's all a bit silly, really, isn't it? She hasn't a lot to work with. I'll put it that way. And whenever Anselm gets blown up by into the air by a grenade, I half expected it, like whenever they went into the brewery, that he was like, it would be Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, and he'd be sticking his head in the ground with the feet straight in the air, you know. In truth, I think, you know, that would have been, if ever there was a show, a Doctor Who story that could have done with a massive budget, it was that one. Because it was ambitious, but like as they used to say in Top Gear, ambitious but hopeless. You know, it dragged on. Then after that, I think there was one thing after another. You had Bambera appear, and then the next thing, Mordred, and the other two knights who quite obviously just been off camera, just stepped into it, and then it sort of devolved into this sort of, I'm not scared of you, and I'm not scared of you. Well, if you're not scared of me, you should be scared of him, you know, the Doctor and all this.
And then you had, I will praise every Doctor and actor for bringing their skills to it, but I really was getting very irritated by the use of this umbrella.
Yeah.
And when in this scene, because it's fine to try it, but in rehearsals, surely the director has to say it still just looks panto. Let's not do it, because they've got guns and everything, and he just pulls it down. It just doesn't work. It's nice slapstick. It's Charlie Chaplin, but this is Doctor Who, and it needs to be done so fast.
It was. I think that's the whole. I think the whole scene there, that whole end of that episode, almost you could call pantomime. Yeah, it was real. I mean, that boom, boom, you could tell what was coming a mile off, you know. But also the way that he got rid of Mordred at the end, and you're just going, are you the thickest man in the world? You know, go away before I do a horrible something on you. You know, it was poor. It was poor. If I'd been doing it, it would have ended with Anselm going through the roof into and left it on that cliffhanger. The Doctor and Ace and the other girl going in to see who or what this was. Right. Well, as I said, I would have ended it at the point where Anselm crashes through the roof. Now, another point about that is he goes through the roof, but whenever they get him, he's sitting up against, like, it's not like he's just crashed through a roof. It's slapstick. It's unbelievable. That must have been the most powerful grenade in history as well, to have blown him up through the air and then through the roof. And it never did him any harm. But no, it was just silly, and it dragged on and on and on. You had Bambera come in, and then the next thing, Mordred, and it just got, really? When is this going to end, you know?
Yeah, I struggle with Battlefield. I have to kind of declare my hand. You know, because obviously, from what you've said, I'll just say, from what you said about this, I know they're trying to do a little subtle parallel narrative thing, but it doesn't magnify it. It just makes it look a bit comical. So there's this. Boo!
Yeah. As I was saying, the fella, now I can't remember his name, the fella that played Anselm.
Yeah.
And the other fella played Mordred, to be honest. It was so over the top, and like
it's that kind of theatrical, I'm Mordred and you, and it's just like, it's a bit like we've seen in Holmes and Naimon and various ones. It's like, pull it back.
Yeah, like yes, Anselm the Craven, I say, and all that sort of stuff. It was a bit.
And so I mean, there's a few bits where I'm thinking, oh God, this just doesn't. I can see where they've rehearsed this but I don't know. I mean, I don't know who to fault. Is it the director? Because here, I'll show you this.
We better get the doctor.
Good idea.
This bit when he walks in, and it's supposed to be ironic that she's just said that, it just feels to me very, very camp. And then this next bit is walking.
Yes.
It just, the whole thing, it just feels very...
I think it's badly directed. Now,
Yeah.
I have to admit. In fact, I would say there's quite a lot. The whole story is bad. It's badly directed, just in general. But that ending.
So I'll show his walking and that, so you can see what I mean regarding, he's just coming. It's seen as good timing, but it just doesn't feel right.
No.
Bloke, flying through the air.
And then through a wall.
You two stay here.
Be serious. What's going on?
She got on my wick. You've got Ace, the companion, to ask the questions. Then you suddenly get this other sidekick who asks the same bloody questions all the time.
Yeah, she was a bit superfluous, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And come the end, the end of the story. I mean, she didn't really do anything. She'd played no major role. She was there. She was in the chalk circle to look terrified, But did she really do anything? I mean, you could have had Ace in it on her own. But no, I think that whole.
So I'll take us to the Bamber, the moment where, to me, as you said, there's more camp as well, where I just think it's a very difficult scene to direct. I'm not a director, but I just think they could have done this better as well. So if we do this bit.
Doctor?
Yes.
Can't see anything.
Oh, it's a human.
He is.
I can sort this out. Look, if I can just explain.
Kill them! Kill them now!
I'm an armed military officer. You are under arrest. Lay your weapons down and put your hands in the air.
Winifred, this is not the way.
Put the guns down!
Myself, I am the doctor, and this is...
Mordred. Answer it.
No. It just, you need to be punchy, and it just drags on and on and on. I mean, I think the episode would have been better if it had ended with Anselm, and them discovering Anselm after he went through the roof, and left it there as a cliffhanger. You didn't know whether he was a goodie or a baddie or so on. Then they drag in Bambera, and they drag in the comedy villain.
Yeah, there's too many people trying to be in charge, and so they've come up with a silly thing that the doctor looks at it, he's in charge with the umbrella, when he's not in charge of any of this situation at all. Really, he is superfluous to that scene. He really is.
I did like the bit at the end where he admitted he'd never met any of them before. I did laugh at that now, but the rest of it, badly directed, badly thought out, and cringe.
Leave the girl. It's the man I want.
Well, after slating Battlefield, we need to kind of get our Doctor Who juices going again. So we've had Caves of Androzani Part 3. Funny enough, the location set looked very similar to where they made Tomb of the Cybermen, actually. That
it does,
location. Yeah. So that's neat, because your final choice, which we'll finish and treat everybody to tonight, is Tomb of the Cybermen Part 2. So enjoy, everybody.
You think the Cybermen will help you?
I shall be the resurrector.
is it? He's their leader, their controller, Damien.
I have brought you back to life. We need your power.
Let me go! You belong to us. You shall be like us.
So there you go. Why did you pick that if ever I was being stupid?
Well, I mean, the cyber controller, those lines at the end, you belong to us. You will be like us. I mean, oh, come on, that's brilliant. And it's a very, again, I'm going to use the same word again. It's very atmospheric. I mean, Telos is desolate. It looks desolate. You go down into the tombs and they're covered in, they're frozen. They appear deserted. It's eerie, you name it. And then when they get down there, you get the Cybermen. And I mean, that's one of the iconic scenes, isn't it? Coming out of the tombs, the fetal, like they're in the fetal position, and they wake up and come out, and a human-like position basically, and they're waking up, they come out, and they release the cyber controller, who I think looks one of the best. It's one of the best creations ever in Doctor Who. But whenever he says those lines, he tells them what's going to happen to them. And I mean, they're going to be frozen, but before that, they're going to be cybernized. They're trapped in a room. They can't get out, and the entrance is closed down to the tombs. I mean, how terrifying is that? You're going to be. It is like the way Star Trek did with the Borg, they stick the nano probes in you, and you see them getting converted. That's what that's what awaits them, and there's no way out. How terrifying is that?
I mean, it surprises me when I put this together that one reason this might be a good cliffhanger for the reasons you've said, but it's the length of it. It's a slow build up, and it's got a kind of double punch, because it's good enough that you've got the awakening of the Cybermen from their actual tomb and coming down slowly. Brilliant music, brilliant slow motion effect, brilliant kind of idea. But then the surprise is the cyber controller, so you get it all again. So it's like a double
whammy. Yeah, I know, it's a brilliant ending. It just I love black and white Doctor Who, because whenever I was getting them on the VHS, they were, the picture quality wasn't the best or anything like that. There's something about that era, whenever, black and white suits horror stories like that, body horror and stuff. It's a terrifying thought. That's why I always, now, again, I'm going to say I'm probably not a typical Doctor Who fan. I always preferred the Cybermen to the Daleks. I found them far scarier. Yeah, because, you could become one of them. I remember, the reading in the novels about them. It's not like they did in NUwho, where they put bits into your brain, emotional inhibitors and things like that, which were nicked out of Star Trek. The Cybermen strip all that away. You're just a walking, you're a walking zombie, more or less. There's nothing there. Imagine being turned into that, and knowing you're being, going through that process and whatever. I have to say that gave me nightmares back when I was a kid.
But this is, and I try when I do these, I get told off if I kind of compare too much to NUwho, because people say you're spoiling the memory thing. But the truth is, these Cybermen here, which RTD talks about Tomb of the Cybermen being one of his great memories, and you think, yeah, but look at them, they're clunky, they're slower, they're not marching all in unison like the NUwho Cybermen. They're all individuals.
Yeah. Well, you see, now I've got an issue with that in NUwho, because to me they're too robotic. and they're not meant to be. You should have them Cybermen that walk. They move like humans because that's what they once were. They're not robots. They're not RoboCop, anything like that. They are us, and they should retain something that mirrors humanity. They should retain. To me, I liked all that stuff where they still, like even in Earthshock, where they had the clenched fist, or that kind of. They should still. I like the fact that there's still like traces of the person they were left in them, because otherwise they're just robots. And to me, especially the ones in the RTD era, they didn't convince for me. And I hated that stuff about emotional inhibitors, and all that kind. That's because that was an easy plot device, because they did what the girl that was in EastEnders, who was in the Cyberman episode with David Tennant, Tracy, is it Oberman or something?
Yeah.
I mean, they did with her basically what they did with Picard, or 7 of 9, Jerry Ryan. They returned her. She got her humanity back, sort of. No. To me, the best thing about the Cybermen is that once they remove all that, the stuff like that, they remove the parts of your brain that are that are to do with emotion and feelings and stuff like that. And once you're one of them, you're not coming back. That to me, that's the scare. That's the creepiest thing. And that last scene with the cyber controller, that music's brilliant as well, by the way. To me, the best Doctor Who is stuff like that. Body horror is brilliant. You love that kind of stuff. It's perfect Doctor Who.
So what were you trying to? You were hinting earlier you're going to pick on something that I do.
You were on about the 7th Doctor and the way he manipulated people, and he knew what was going on, stuff like that. And like the way he sent the Nemesis statue off.
Yeah.
Well, now you could argue that the 2nd Doctor played quite a part in them getting into the tombs in the first place. I seem to be manipulating events. He helped them open the hatch. They wouldn't have got the hatch open if it hadn't been for him. And he knew that the controls, once they got down into the actual tombs themselves, he knew that they weren't for reopening the hatch. He knew that they were for something else, and I'm pretty dang sure he knew that it was for reviving the Cybermen. So you could say, a bit manipulative.
Maybe he's a little tinker, our Doctor.
Maybe he was like that all along. Maybe it wasn't just the 7th Doctor.
Well, actually, the William Hartnell 1st Doctor was naughty as well. Think of the Daleks.
Yes, fluid links and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's the best sort of Doctor Who to me. It's so scary to me. It's a situation there where you wonder how they are actually going to get out. And whenever it comes to the next episode, it's actually quite a long time before they get out.
Yeah.
I was rewatching it and I was counting. I think it's about 10 minutes into the next episode before they actually get out of the hatch.
And you know what? The Cybermets are a great introduction as well, aren't they? What a great.
I like them.
Release the Cybermens. Activate them.
Troughton, she's a wee bit gullible, isn't she? I mean, she falls for that. The Vicky pretending it's come back to life. Or not, yeah, it was Victoria. What am I thinking of? But no, it was a good idea. The Cybermats, and they are creepy. Probably more so than Cybermight.
I know.
You know, but I know times change and all that sort of stuff.
Times change.
Another reason I like this story is I think it was the 150th edition of DWM, and they had a big bit all about that, and they had all the sets and colour.
Because I triggering a memory. I can't. Yeah, I know what you mean. There's something, isn't there?
They had I think they recolored them the way they really were like. When you looked at that was a flipping brilliant set.
It was. I had it up for a second, didn't I? The let's get it up. That's good. Well,
I meant to say also, I love that guy. He is a Klieg. He is a proper. He's not as smart as he thinks he is, but he's a nasty piece of work, you know.
Well, what we should end on really is that set. I love the scale of that set. First, this is series 5. You know, I don't know what their budget was. I bet it was absolute nothing. But that is a great scale. There's a lot of sets in this.
It was brilliant. It was so ambitious, actually. Whenever you see it, I think it was I'd never seen it before. The video came out, and I was straight down to Woolies to get it. But I love that. The tomb, that is brilliant. It's just such a, and even all the stuff, you know, with the whenever they get into the first chamber and all the, you know, what they're trying to work out the logic how to open the hatch and whatever. So there's an awful lot of work went into that, and it's all very believable looking. I think it's a brilliant set. Those tombs, well, they're just brilliant, aren't they? You know, sleeping giants. What
we'll have to do, Colin, is we'll probably have to just call it a wrap there, because I can see I think you're getting taken into the caves of Androzani.
Oh my, I'm disappearing. I'm sorry. It gets dark quick here at this time of the year.
This is your debut on Sensesphere. You've shared your 4 cliffhangers, 3 favourites, 1 dud.
Well, I hope I made some sense.
Don't worry, it's passion, it's conviction, it's what everybody's about. I wouldn't worry about it at all. People will no doubt, as you do on many of our shows, send some comments in.
Yes. I can't wait.
People will tell you if they agree with you or not. But you know, I'm getting the vibes that Colin has turned into the shadow from the Armageddon Factor now. Look, there he is.
I know. Oh. I'm going. I'm fading away.
Well, thanks a lot, Colin, and we will talk again. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you very much.